What's up, everyone? Matt Pais here. I'm sitting here with Laura Burhenn of the Mynabirds. How's it going, Laura?
Great, thanks.
Thanks for coming. You guys had a show last night at Shubas. How did that go?
It was really amazing for being a Sunday night and Father's Day and everything. It was a really great crowd. And we had a bit of an adventure. I wear a fox headdress for part of the set, and someone actually stole it. And so our guitarist...
After the show?
After the show. So our guitarist and his friend chased the guy through the streets. The Chicago Police Department got involved. They captured him. They got it back. They handcuffed him. They had him in the back of a cruiser.
Good to know police work still.
Yeah.
But you guys actually did the police work for them, kind of, by chasing them down. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know you were inspired by the photo Generals of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Tell me about why that really got you worked up, kind of, and what you're so frustrated about that turned into this album.
Well, yeah, I saw that photo at an exhibit of Richard Avedon's work in D.C., and as you know, and people may not know, but the photo features older women in starched satin gowns with sashes and tiaras, and they're women who are members of the organization Daughters of the American Revolution. And it's a photo from, I think, the 60s. And I thought, man, that image doesn't really coincide with what I think of when I think of revolutionary women. And so I started thinking, what do revolutionary women in America look like these days? And in my mind, they're not afraid to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty. And so I started, really writing about that and to that for the subject. And that's, the purpose of the photo project is to put a face to that. What was the other part of the question?
What did you feel like, a lot of people are writing about this record coming from political frustrations or frustration about, men and women these days, or what was it that made you feel like you had so much kind of, anger that you felt like you had to get out?
It's definitely been brewing for about a decade, I mean, you go back to September 11th, and it's crazy to realize that that's already been 10 years. And I lived in D.C. at that time and, was part of the protests leading up to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and was there on election night in 2008 when Obama was elected. Sure, being in Chicago, that was an electric night here, and in D.C. it was absolutely insane. We were drinking champagne in the streets behind the White House, and Joan Baez was there, which was really, really amazing. So I'd been thinking for years about protest music and protest songs, and when you sort of put that up against what's in the top 20, top 40 in our pop culture song, it's a real contrast.
I thought Party Rock Anthem was protesting all the people that don't want to party.
Well, and that, it's funny that you say that, because that's something I wanted to do with this record, which was, there's a lot of frustration. And I think some people have asked, well, what is she protesting? She talks about a lot of different things in this record. And I think that was the point. It's not one general protest. In the song Generals, I talk about a lot of different things. I talk about healthcare, the housing collapse, the music industry. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in that.
Happy time these days.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, it was important for me to feel like I could transform that energy into something positive. I didn't just want to stand around and yell about what's wrong for the entire record. That would get annoying to me, and I know it would be annoying to other people. And I don't think it's very helpful on a larger scale as far as like making change and getting things done. But I wanted the songs to feel kind of like they're a version of Whistle While You Work. It's like dance while you're getting stuff done. So I wanted the songs to feel positive and definitely to end on a positive note as far as the whole album goes.
Does it really hit home when you wind up on a list, the NPR list, with Fiona Apple and St. Vincent and some other singers who would usually fall on the list under the term angry?
Angry? I don't think of
deliberate.
St. I don't think of St. Vincent as being angry.
No?
No. I was really, really honored. And that list, I think, was called Beloved Weirdos, I think was the list.
Beloved Weirdos.
Which I was like, yes, finally we made that list, Beloved Weirdos.
But you were always beloved. I just think you were recognized as a weirdo.
Right, and that was part of the fun of writing this record, which was to get more experimental. And the first record was meant to feel classic. It was meant to feel like an old record you'd found, or an old friend that was comforting you in a difficult time. And this, when you're writing songs about revolution, it can't feel comforting necessarily. That said, I feel like towards the end of the record, I did want some of the songs to feel comforting and positive and uplifting. So, yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's definitely some kind of a pacifist undertaking for this. You're not trying to necessarily get people riled up, just to get them thinking. What type of reaction do you feel like you're trying to get with this album, and what would you want people to go out and do, perhaps, as a result of these songs?
You're absolutely right about the pacifist piece. I am a pacifist at heart. I just, war is something that I truly don't understand, and it makes me sad that it often comes to that. It's horrible, like history repeating itself over and over again, and to what end, And I think about, we were talking about healthcare in this country and trying to pass universal healthcare bill, and the price tag on it was like $1 trillion. And I looked up the statistics about the war on terror, because I was curious to know how much we had spent as Americans on the war on terror, and it was about $1 trillion. And so to me, it was like, wow, we just need to be aware of how we're spending our money and our energy. And what if we had spent that on healthcare and education and things that would make us stronger as a people, rather than just like ripping apart the entire world? Mm-hmm. So part of it, I think, part of what I hope to get out of this record is an awareness that people pay attention to what's going on around them. But other than that, I found myself in writing the record asking myself a lot of questions. The big one was, what can I do in the face of so much discord all around us, in the face of so many problems, and you can begin to feel hopeless and helpless. And finally, what I came to was, there's a line in Buffalo Flower which says, "I'm going to do what I can right where I stand." And that's empowering, to know that you can't fix the whole piece, but you can start in your own backyard. And ultimately, as simple as it might sound, I think the answer is love. And when I came up with that answer, I kind of laughed at myself. I was like, I can't say that. I can't say, in the face of all this, war and destruction and terror, just love. That sounds so cliched and dumb almost. But I realized that I think there's a real strength and profoundness in that. And it starts with the way that we treat ourselves, the way that we treat our friends and lovers and neighbors. And you can really start to fix the larger problem, I think, if you start from like the grassroots immediate area, which is like, truly, in the Gandhian sense, be the change that you wish to see in the world. Mm-hmm.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no way, 10 being definitely, what are the chances you run for office someday?
Oh, that's an interesting question. It's funny, there's someone, I live in Omaha now, and since I've moved there, I've become very, very active politically there. And a couple people have said to me, "Oh, it's the next mayor of Omaha," and they joke about that all the time. And I'm flattered that I don't know that I could get elected in a place like Omaha for sure.
Why?
I think I might be a little too radical to get elected. Maybe city council, but I'm not sure about mayor. But I think it's important. I don't know that I'm cut out for politics, because it can be frustrating. Politics can be extremely frustrating, and there's definitely a game involved. But I want to be involved doing whatever I can that helps move things forward. So who knows about that, but definitely involved in helping educate other people about what's going on.
So what have you been doing recently as far as being active?
I was involved in a coalition of different organizations, and we helped pass an equal employment ordinance in Omaha, which just means that you can't be fired for being gay or transgendered. And that was a big deal. And coming from DC, I was shocked that wasn't already on the books. We tried to pass it a year ago, and it failed. And this year, we put a lot of work into it. And I testified before the city council, and wrote letters, and we had a petition signed by musicians, and we made it happen. So that to me was really encouraging, and it was a reminder that you truly can make a difference.
What do revolutionary women look like in your mind? Who's someone that you feel like sets an example these days, and who really doesn't?
I think the women who set the example the most are usually women who don't get the credit publicly. They could be stay-at-home moms or teachers or doctors, community organizers, and there are a lot of women like that in Omaha. We have a group of women started Omaha Girls Rock, and that is really exciting to me. And this will be our second summer of that camp, and to see the young girls come in who've never played an instrument and who come in and are so shy, and whose idols are people you might see on the covers of the rag magazines and the grocery store lines. And they're not giving much thought to the pop songs that they're singing along to. And so when you take a second to say, that's fine, that's a fine song, and you can dance along to that, and that's a fun song, but there can be more to life than just that.
So when they come into camp, they want to be Miley Cyrus, but when they come out of camp, who do they want to be? It's been amazing. We teach them a women's rock history, and so sometimes the girls are like, I want to be Patti Smith, or I want to be Carrie Brownstein, and they have a real wide range of appreciation. But this is after coming in with a fixation on...
Yeah, and we do self-esteem classes, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see them grow into themselves. Yeah.
First track on the record, Karma Debt. How much do we owe, and how do we pay it back?
Again, that's such a big question, and that was a question I was asking myself. Can I even, in that song, I'm asking, can I even as a musician talk about this? A lot of people say musicians shouldn't talk politics. It's annoying. Shut up and sing. You're an entertainer. Entertain us. Make us dance. And it was fun to say, okay, I'll make you dance, but I'm going to make you think too.
What's a guilty pleasure movie for you?
I don't believe in guilty pleasures.
Why not?
I just think people like what they like, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it.
Okay, what's one that you don't think counts as a guilty pleasure, but other
my
people
favorite
might see
movie of all time, I will admit it freely, is The Never-Ending Story. It's been my favorite ever since I was a kid.
What about that? Strikes a chord.
I had a crush on Atreyu as a kid, and the idea, I think the idea that one person can go out and try to save the world from the nothing is a really amazing lesson for kids to be taught, and it's something I think that still really resonates with me.